Route 41 is the kind of highway people forget to mention on maps. It threads through the quiet parts of northern Georgia, where thick pines swallow the sky and the world feels older, heavier, untouched. During the day, the road feels lonely. At night, it feels alive, like it's watching anyone who dares to cross it. Locals call it the dead stretch, a name spoken with a nervous half-laugh that never reaches their eyes. For nearly 17 years, people vanished along that stretch. Not dozens at once, not in ways that drew immediate panic. The disappearances were spaced out, spread evenly like quiet chapters in a book no one realized they were reading. But when you place the stories side by side, when you trace them along the faded asphalt of Route 41, a pattern emerges so eerie and so deliberate that ignoring it feels almost criminal. Most stories begin with a destination. This one begins with a wrong turn. It was August 2008. The night rain fell in sheets and thunder rolled like footsteps across the dark sky. 23-year-old Megan Dilworth was driving home after a late study session. She wasn't familiar with Route 41, and when her GPS lost signal, she followed the only road visible in the storm. Her sedan sputtered, coughed, and died near mile marker 117. Her hazard lights blinked weakly in the downpour. A passing driver called 911, reporting a stranded vehicle with the driver nowhere in sight. Deputies arrived within 20 minutes. They found Megan's car exactly as the caller described: door ajar, engine dripping rainwater, her phone sitting unlocked on the seat. Her purse, with cash still inside, hung from the passenger side. Nothing was stolen, nothing was scattered, but Megan was gone. 2 sets of footprints led away from the vehicle. Hers, unmistakable in the mud, and another, larger set that walked beside hers for several feet before veering off. But by the next morning, the rain had washed away everything except a faint trail leading into the woods. That trail ended abruptly, as if the forest swallowed her whole. Her family pleaded for answers. Investigators shrugged, claiming adults could leave voluntarily and often did. They hinted she might have run away, even though she had made plans with her mother for the weekend. Megan's disappearance was filed away quietly, almost lazily, as if her absence were an inconvenience rather than a mystery. But Megan wasn't the first, and she wouldn't be the last. Over the next few years, more names were whispered into the town's growing fear. A hitchhiker with a heavy backpack who vanished after texting his brother that he was almost there. A mail courier whose van was found parked neatly on the shoulder, keys still in the ignition, the day's deliveries untouched. A tourist couple traveling through Georgia whose car was discovered empty at a scenic turnout. Doors unlocked, belongings untouched, as if they had simply stepped away for a moment. There were witnesses too, though their accounts were brushed aside. A farmer claimed he heard screams one night, screams that rose and fell like someone being dragged away. A pair of teenagers said they saw a man standing at the tree line watching them, his silhouette visible even as their headlights passed by. A trucker swore he saw a flashlight waving frantically in the woods before the light went out suddenly. None of it seemed enough to spark genuine alarm. If you asked the sheriff's office back then, they'd say the cases weren't connected. People left. People got lost. People started over. Their reasons were personal, private. But that explanation did little to comfort the families who felt something was deeply, horribly wrong. The secrecy might have lasted forever if not for what happened in 2014. On a warm June morning, just after sunrise, a man stumbled out of the woods near Route 41. His clothes were torn. His feet were bare and bleeding. His face was a mask of exhaustion and terror. It was truck driver Lorenzo Mason, missing for 5 days. His family had nearly given up hope. When he collapsed into the arms of a paramedic, he was shaking so violently they had to restrain him to place him on a stretcher. He whispered one phrase over and over. "The man in the house. Don't let him take me back." Doctors discovered he had been drugged with a substance they couldn't immediately identify. His memory was shattered, broken into jagged fragments, like someone had taken scissors to his mind. When detectives questioned him, he tried to speak, but his voice quivered, his breath shallow. He remembered rope, a dark room, the sound of humming at night, the creak of footsteps above him, and a face, blurred, pale, watching him. But the further he pushed, the more his mind seemed to recoil. He could not recall where he'd been kept. He could not describe his captor. The sheriff's office issued a brief statement saying Lorenzo had experienced trauma-induced confusion and closed the case after claiming there was no evidence of abduction. The community didn't believe that for a second. Something vile was lurking in those woods. Deputy Harold Green certainly didn't believe it. Harold was gentle, patient, and known for having the kind of memory that couldn't forget even the smallest detail. Over the years, he quietly collected every missing person report connected to Route 41. He mapped them on his office wall, red pins scattered across a narrow line of forested land between mile markers 112 and 128. 16 miles. That was it. All the disappearances, all the unexplained sightings, the abandoned cars, the footprints, the fragments of fear, all within 16 miles. Harold found that too perfect to be a coincidence. He studied tire track patterns, interviewed hunters and hikers, even searched through old case files dating back 2 decades. What he found terrified him. Rumors of a man living deep in the woods, someone off-grid, someone people tried to avoid, someone who seemed to know the forest better than anyone else alive. When Harold brought his findings to his commanding officers, they dismissed him with a cold warning. Drop it. They told him the department didn't have the resources to chase ghost stories, that there was no solid evidence, that he was wasting time. Harold didn't listen. 6 months after he started digging in secret, Harold didn't show up for morning roll call. His patrol car was found parked neatly near mile marker 119. The driver's door was open. His badge lay on the passenger seat. The radio crackled softly, as if someone had recently touched it. But Harold himself had vanished. Only later did investigators find the flash drive he'd been hiding at home. On it was a detailed outline of everything he discovered. Maps, photos, testimonies, tire tracks, strange symbols carved into trees, suspected campsites deep in the woods, and one chilling sentence that made every detective go still. Someone is hunting people out here, and someone with a badge is making sure no one finds out. But the truth only exploded into the public eye years later, in 2023, during a single live stream. Danielle Watts was a travel vlogger, cheerful and bold, the kind of person who documented every journey with excitement. She didn't know Route 41's reputation when she drove into that fog-covered stretch late one night. Thousands of viewers watched her explore unfamiliar roads. They heard her giggle nervously about how creepy the forest looked. But then her tone changed. Her voice tightened. Her breathing slowed. The camera shook slightly as her headlights illuminated a tall figure standing in the road. Is that a person? Before viewers could react, the stream jolted violently. The thud echoed. The screen glitched. And then it went completely dark. Hours later, her car was found with both doors open. Her phone lay shattered on the asphalt. Her bag was on the passenger seat. One of her shoes was in the grass. Danielle was gone. This time, the world paid attention. Search teams flooded the woods. Drones buzzed overhead. Dogs followed scent trails that led down a hidden dirt path. The further they went, the stronger the chemical smell became. A sharp, metallic scent that made investigators gag. And then they found it. Deep in the forest stood a small, decaying cabin that didn't appear on any property records. Inside, they discovered ropes, chains, syringes, scraps of clothing, and photographs. Terrible photographs of people whose faces matched the missing. But the darkest discovery was a folder-marked agreement, filled with emails between the cabin's owner and a sheriff's deputy. The deputy had been paid to erase evidence, mislabel cases, and dismiss families. He had personally signed off on nearly every disappearance for a decade. The cabin belonged to Elias Mercer, a reclusive ex-military mechanic who'd moved into the woods years earlier. When officers found him, he didn't run. He didn't protest. He simply stared blankly and said, "I never took them. They walked into my woods. Some people are easier to keep than others." He admitted to using sedatives, to keeping victims restrained, to moving them between places. But when asked why he was never caught, he shrugged. Your deputy liked quiet roads. Elias also revealed something else, that there was another place, deeper in the woods, a second cabin, a bigger one, a darker one, a place he claimed the deputy preferred. But when officers searched for it, they found nothing. 3 weeks later, hikers found Danielle alive, wandering near the river. She was dehydrated, shaking, and sunburned, but alive. Through tears, she described escaping after Elias slipped on wet rocks. She hid for days, surviving off rainwater. But she heard something while hiding, 2 voices searching for her. Elias's voice and another voice, lower, calmer, a voice with a police radio. The deputy was arrested while trying to flee the state. He confessed to helping Elias for years, covering cases, tampering with evidence, hiding bodies in ravines, so deep the sun never touched them. Only 3 victims were ever recovered. The rest remain somewhere in those woods. Today, Route 41 has cameras, warning signs, and heavy patrols. But locals say the forest still feels wrong. They talk about lights moving between the trees at night, about humming, about footsteps where no one should be. Some swear they've glimpsed silhouettes near the tree line, watching from the shadows. And some believe the second cabin, the one Danielle heard but investigators never found, is still out there waiting. Which raises a question that still haunts everyone who knows the story. If the second cabin is still out there, is someone still using it? Do you think Elias acted alone? Do you think someone else is still out there? What do you believe is really hidden along Route 41? Drop your thoughts in the comment section and don't forget to like and subscribe for more true crime videos.